municipality and the broader region. These often commemorate the area's history as a terminus for the Underground Railroad, which helped enslaved people's escape to freedom in Canada. These installations highlight local abolitionist history and the sanctuary provided to refugees. They tell a story of the past, including the Underground Railroad's path to freedom. Patterns like the North Star or drinking gourd were used to guide escaped slaves northward. The wild goose chase pattern relates to following migratory routes to safety. The use of actual quilted patterns as secret codes for the Underground Railroad serve as modern commemorative markers of that era. I'd also at this time like to mention that on February 28th between 11 and 3 in Middlesex Center at the Komoka Wellness Center, the Black Community Network of Middlesex Center will be having a celebration, and I encourage anyone that has a free time slot during that period to attend. It's also Happy Agricultural Day. Today is a chance to recognize all our farmers, producers, and agri-food workers who keep our communities fed and our rural economy strong. And of course, I would also like to share some exciting Olympic news with local connections. We are proud to recognize Julia Gosling, daughter of the Middlesex London Paramedic Service Deputy Superintendent Tracy, who is representing our country as a member of Team Canada's women's hockey team. On behalf of County Council, I want to wish Julia every success as she competes on the world stage. In addition, we are pleased to note that Olympic champion Scott Moyer, who has strong ties to Middlesex County, is serving as a coach at this year's Olympic Games. It is so inspiring to see local connections reflected at such a global level. I'm sure we will all be watching and cheering them on. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Councillor Seibert for the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Warden Clark. We acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenapequot peoples, who have longstanding relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. The local First Nation communities of this area include Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames First Nation, and Munsee Delaware Nation. We acknowledge the treaties that are specific to this area: Treaty 2, McKee Purchase; Treaty 3, Between the Lakes Purchase; Treaty 6, London Township Purchase; Treaty 21, Longwoods Purchase; and Treaty 29, Huron Tract Purchase. We value the significant contributions, both in the past and the present, of local and regional First Nations of Turtle Island. We acknowledge historic and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we affirm our commitment to honoring Indigenous voices, nations, and cultures, and to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect.
Thank you. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none, could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councillor Grantham, seconded by Councillor McMillan. All in favor? And that's carried. You've had a chance to read the minutes of the January 13th meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? You've had also a chance to read the closed session minutes from that meeting. Any errors or omissions? Okay, seeing none then, could I have a mover and a seconder to receive those? Councillor Mayhem, and seconded by Councillor McGuire. All in favor? And that's carried. Next up on our agenda is new business. The next section is regarding the donation of a decommissioned ambulance to the City of London for use as a mobile veterinary clinic initiative. And I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to Adam Bennett, our Director of Paramedic Services.
Thank you, Warden. The report before you, the City of London connected with Middlesex London Paramedic Service about the possibility of procuring an ambulance for the purpose of using as a mobile veterinary clinic. The concept was to be able to deliver critical care to animals within the community that they don't or that they wouldn't normally be able to reach in those particular instances. MLPS, we were in the process of decommissioning ambulance as part of our normal replacement cycle. Typically, the disposal of ambulances is through a government surplus auction, such as GovDeals. And out of the ambulances that were being decommissioned, we were able to identify an ambulance that would be a good fit for the purpose that was requested by the city. So we were able to be able to make that happen for the city. The city is currently navigating its internal processes with regards to the deployment of such a project. But in the interim, we've been able to fully decommission the ambulance, which includes removing all of its markings that would have it associated with being an actual ambulance, which includes its emergency systems and radio systems. So we have been able to action that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Adam? Seeing none then? Sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
It wasn't a question, Warden. It was just I think that this is a great initiative. And I'm really happy to see that a movement has been made forward on this one. So congrats. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Seeing none then, could I have a mover and a seconder to accept this recommendation that the donation of a decommissioned ambulance to the City of London for the use as a mobile veterinary clinic initiative report be received for information? Moved by Councillor Smybert, seconded by Councillor David. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next up on the agenda is the disposal of surplus land regarding the county land adjacent to 6508 West Elborn. And I'll ask for Alex Bondarenko, our senior legal counsel, to speak to this report.
Thank you, Warden Clark. So further to our report that came at the November 4th meeting, Council had directed staff to prepare an agreement of purchase and sale with the owner of 6508 West Elborn, which has now been negotiated and prepared. It's attached to this report. There is a high-level analysis there in the report available, just to outline some of the key provisions of the agreement. I just want to highlight that there are no financial implications to the county. Everything is being paid for by the purchaser with respect to this closing and the transaction itself. So I'm available for any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll have that motion up on the screen, please. I'm not going to read through that. Could we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Grantham, seconded by Councillor McGuire. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the 2026 tax ratios, and I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to Nikki Norse, our Director of Financial Services.
Thank you, Warden Clark. The tax ratio report outlines the recommended 2026 tax ratios and a review of the related tax policy tools. 2026 tax ratios are recommended to remain unchanged from 2025, maintaining a long-standing stable tax structure that compiles with provincial requirements and aligns with neighboring rural upper-tier municipalities. Property assessments remain based on 2016 MPAC values due to the ongoing provincial reassessment deferral. Changes to taxes in 2026 are therefore driven by real growth, not market reassessment. Real assessment growth in 2026 totals approximately 1.31 million, largely from residential development, continuing a trend of steady growth. We reviewed optional tax policies, including a small business subclass, small scale and farm subclass, and changes to vacant excess land discounts. Consistent with prior years, none are recommended for 2026 due to limited benefit and administrative complexity. Affordable rental housing subclasses introduced by the province in 2025 represent a significant policy shift. Staff recommend monitoring and further analysis with possible consideration in 2027 after consultation with local municipalities. Staff, can you please answer any questions?
Thank you, Nikki. Are there any questions on that report? Okay, seeing none then, could I have a motion to receive that for information and that the tax ratio bylaw be forwarded to County Council for approval? Moved by Councillor Burkhart Justin, seconded by Councillor David, all in favor, and that's carried. All right, are there any inquiries? Are there any notices of motion? Any councillor comments or other business? Okay, could I have a motion that the committee of a whole convene at, what time have we got here? 1:12 PM. Moved by Councillor Mayhew, seconded by Councillor Smybert, all in favor, and that's carried. Next up, we have a delegation regarding agricultural land use overview in southwestern Ontario. It's a presentation by Gary Eagleson from GR Eagleson Consulting, Inc. So I'll just ask Gary to come up to the chair there, the vacant chair. And is there a microphone for him to use there? Okay, if you can just show him how that works, that'd be great. And Gary, you've got 10 minutes and we'll give you a 9-minute warning, okay? Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Worship Clark. I'd like to do a little introduction. I am a farmer north of the Park Hill area near Greenway, so I recognize the farmer week, I guess you mentioned at the start. This presentation is actually on the crop land class 1, 2, and 3 that we're losing quite rapidly in Southern Ontario. I did this presentation actually at the Ontario Institute of Agrologists symposium, which I'm a member of, in November. And after the meeting, the people there said, Gary, you got to talk about this to more people. So I've done this presentation at Huron County Council, at the region of Waterloo. This one, I'm doing it I'm going to be doing it at Lambton County Council and also at the City of London Planning Department. To begin, I wanted to put things in a timeline. My wife's fifth great grandfather walked from Pennsylvania to the Waterloo region in 1798. Liked what he saw. He walked back to Pennsylvania, then brought his wife and child with a cart and settled Waterloo in 1799. His name, along with his brother-in-law, is on the Waterloo Pioneer Tower. But when you go there to see the tower, you really can't see it until you turn the corner, and there it is, because his farm and the other 6 people who are on the Pioneer Tower, their farms are completely covered with houses within, separated by 3 or 4 feet. And that was quite a shock to me when I saw that. However, if you go to page, the next page, Rebecca or somebody, there, that's a map of obviously this area, including the United States. And the white areas is where people actually reside. And in Southern Ontario, you see it's really white. And that is where our class 1, 2, and 3 farmland actually is located. From 2016 to 2021, 43% of new immigrants to Canada took up residence in Southern Ontario. With the new immigration targets being 365,000 per year, that equates to 146,000 new residents in Southern Ontario. That's about equivalent to the size of Barrie. From 2017 to 2022, I'm going to talk about the United States a bit. They lost 20.1 million acres, which is about the size of Maine. That's 2,000 acres of farmland per day. However, the US uses farmland that includes grassland, forest, wetlands, and cropland. It appears that I've been conversing with the University of Ohio professor Carl Zuloff, who wrote Loss of Farmland in the 21st Century, the National Perspective from the Census of Agriculture. He feels there is no problem. Yet one state has actually gained farmland, but all the rest is actually lost and lost quite a bit. However, again, at the expense of grassland, birds, wetland ecosystems, forests, and forest wildlife. Even in Middlesex County, I observed the bulldozing of 20 to 25 acres of forest near where I live, and he had no permit. I lodged a complaint more than once, but as far as I know, there was no repercussions such as fines, etc. Now, if you divide the 880 million acres of farmland that's in the United States by the 20.1 million acres they've lost and multiply that by 5 because it was 5 years, then the entire USA farmland will be gone in 218 years. That's not very long. It's actually the year 2244. But keep in mind what I was telling you about my wife's fifth grandfather, that's only 218 years ago. And her grandmother, who was born in 1865, died in 1970. You know, it's quite amazing that my wife knows somebody that knew somebody in that 1799 timeline. In the PDF you've been sent, it's a really good. Oh yeah, there's. Let's go to page 5. Yeah, because of the ice, our ice age, what happened is Ontario got more or less divided into 3 areas based on their soil topography. The Hudson's Bay ecozone is way up north up in the Hudson's Bay area. The Boreal Shield ecozone is in between us, the Southern Ontario, and Hudson's Bay. Next page. And that gives you a map. So Southern Ontario is in essence that beige area at the bottom. In Ontario, agriculture accounted for 53.2% of the land base, or 4.5 million hectares of land. The problem now is urban and industrial development is eating away at the 53.2. The mixed wood plains ecosystem is the most populated area in Canada with ever increasing population growth. And I certainly know with yourselves being elected to represent, you know, your ratepayers, you have many problems that you need to try and find solutions for, such as homelessness, job creation, water problems, all of that. You have so much to think about right now. And here I'm telling you something that is going to be kind of a concern, not in your term of office, but certainly within the timeline of your grandchildren's lifetime. Go to page 12. Interestingly, between 2016 and 2021, Ontario lost 116,000 acres of farmland per year, or actually that's 320 acres per day. I would recommend that you read Dr. Loudermark's Conquest of the Land Through 7,000 Years. It was written in 1939. And it is certainly available on the internet that you can read or download. That's it there. It explains about what has happened to civilizations when they don't have enough food or water. Doesn't matter how big an army you got, but if you can't feed it or have it drink, you will lose. So there's many dynasties over the last 7,000 years that have collapsed. Now this is just math. We have cropland and then the other types of land that we've got in Southern Ontario. So we got 11,766,000 acres. If you divide that 320 into the 9,051,000, the timeline that you've got, if you go to the second last page, yeah. One page forward. Back. No, forward, the other way. One more. Nope, that's my. I don't know how that got in there. Anyway, you get 77.92 years. That's not very long. Actually, it's 2103. Now, people will disagree with me because we have things like GMOs, increasing yields per acre, horizontal growing walls in cities, hydroponic greenhouses, genetic manipulation of livestock for faster conversion of feed to meat, getting water from the atmosphere like the Israeli water gen system, which is quite unique, certainly osmosis, and of course, artificial intelligence. However, in conclusion, I ask that you go to your computer and type in, who has warned about technology solving all our problems? Just a simple type it in. There is a huge list of prominent scientists, technologists, and thinkers, but one caught my eye, Evgeny Morozov, who wrote, I thought this was kind of neat. To save everything, click here. The folly of technology solutionism. I did this presentation at the Region of Waterloo, and at that council meeting, there was several presentations all derived from the problems with their Mannheim water pumping station running dry. You're familiar with the Elgin County need to upgrade their water system at cost of $400 million. Too bad decision makers hadn't read this book, Limits to Growth, which is on that. I studied this book in university in 1974, and it's the Rome Institute of the day had warned what the world would be like in 50 years if we didn't get our population growth under control.
1 minute, please.
At that time, we had 4 billion people. Now we got 8.2, and we're heading towards 10.8 by the end of the century. There is some discussions about what Ontario's population will be. Most likely 45 million by 2055. The high is 75. And the question becomes, where are we going to put these people if we're going to protect our cropland? And I really don't have an answer for that. I leave that up to yourselves to start thinking about. When you're having house parties or something, maybe start talking to your friends about it. You can show them that thing if you like that I have on the board, but it's certainly worthy of discussion. And like I say, and I emphasize, it's going to impact your grandchildren big time, and definitely your great grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Are there any questions for Gary? Counselor Smiber.
Great. Thank you for your presentations. Very interesting. I'm with the Food Policy Council, and we're taking a look at ways we can advocate for keeping farmland intact so that we're not seeing development on those lands. Do you have any specific information as it relates to the city and the county? I know you've got some information about Southwest Ontario, but do you have those specific information for that particular area?
Well, I've been watching, and I'm not here to tell people what to do. However, there's always that word. I have noticed that the City of London is wanting to garner, for use of a better word, land from the surrounding municipalities. And if you just look at London, it's surrounded by farmland. I noticed their new fire hall or fire training center. The site is nothing but a cornfield. And you kind of wonder, there's things that we just have to kind of think differently. There is a fire hall or fire training center in Wingham, which is fairly new. can't we utilize that one a little more efficiently? Why do we need a new one? I know that somebody I went to high school with married a girl from Milverton. Her farm, you can't, there is no farm. It's well within it's all built up. In the Grand Bend area where I live nearby, the Patterson farm and the Pollock farm, it's all developed. It's happening everywhere. And yes, it's happening in every locality in Middlesex County. I know Exeter has announced a 2,100 home development south of town. It just keeps going. And I'm just here to say it's serious.
Thank you. Counselor Brennan.
Thank you. Not too much a question, more a comment. With the province telling us we have to build more houses quicker. And developers can now approach and say, I want this farm put into the urban center. It's not up to council anymore to do that. Anybody can do that. And the government and the land tribunals are leaning toward developers. What can we do? Like, our hands are somewhat being tied too. We don't want to see it. I'm a farmer. I don't want to see it. But when the government's promoting it and the land tribunal is giving people what they want, our hands are somewhat tied. So it's okay to come and talk to us and say, hey, you got to stop this. Everybody says we got to stop it, but nobody's got a solution to it. So, like, if you're going to talk the talk, let's walk the walk.
Thanks, John. Tim, did you want to speak to that? I don't know if you would maybe want to comment on thoughtful and appropriate growth and maybe the official plan. I'm not sure.
Certainly. So from the perspective of the planning department, certainly aware of all of the things that have been spoken to and the importance of agriculture. And the official plan for the county as well as the local official plans do speak to that. And as recently as in January, the official plan was further amended for the county to strengthen some of those points. We had an agronomist on the team that was involved in preparing that official plan amendment to strengthen those policies related to agriculture, but also some policies related to intensification within existing settlement areas. So that takes a little bit of the pressure off of those agricultural lands. So this is one way that we're working to do that to address what's been spoken to today.
Great, thanks, Tim. Are there any other questions?
Could I just have one
Seeing
more
none,
comment that to answer just this gentleman's comment? When you go to your AMO conventions or Roma conventions, maybe a resolution presented there about what this is all about might be at least a start. And having, the planning department meet with the City of London Planning Department just to converse about this whole thing. But it's an interesting topic, and it's probably worthy of yourselves having a committee formed to talk about this.
Thank you for your input. We appreciate that. Are there any other questions? Last call. Seeing none, then could I have a mover and a seconder that the agricultural land use overview in Southern Ontario presentation be received for information? Moved by Councillor Robb, seconded by Councillor Smybert. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we have no reports from the county officers. So next item on our agenda is 9C1, the Middlesex County Advisory Committee Board and Third-Party Appointment Review. And I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to our Director of Legislative Services, Marcy Ivanek.
Thank you, Madam Warden, through you to Council. Just wait for my PowerPoint. Okay. In preparation for the new term of council, staff have undertaken a comprehensive review of Middlesex County's advisory committees and boards to ensure that these bodies have clear mandates and consistent reporting practices. As part of this exercise, we also reviewed the county's committee and board recruitment strategy to ensure a fair and transparent process. So county council determines the number of advisory committees, their membership, mandates, powers, and reporting structures. This slide lists the current advisory committees, including the Budget Committee, MAC, PAC, the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, and the County City Liaison Committee. So the county's procedural bylaw requires council to adopt terms of reference for all committees. Council will recall that terms of reference for the Budget Committee and updated terms of reference for the Middlesex Accessibility Advisory Committee were passed in December. As detailed in the report, we have prepared updated terms of reference for the Planning Advisory Committee. This is a mandatory committee under the Planning Act and was introduced in 2019. The revised terms of reference maintain the committee's core mandate, but introduce a maximum number of members. Previously, we didn't have a cap on that. The Intergovernmental Relations Committee was also established in 2019. This committee has actually never met, and the functions originally envisioned for the committee are now effectively addressed through departmental operations, indirect support of council and the warden. So for these reasons, staff are recommending that this committee be discontinued at this time. The County City Liaison Committee is a joint committee created through a memorandum of understanding with the City of London in October 2015. We are not proposing any changes to the mandate of this committee. The Middlesex County Library Board was established in 1962. Pursuant to the Public Libraries Act, County Council is responsible for determining the number of board members, the number of county councilors that may be appointed to the board, and for appointing board members. To clarify council's authority and to ensure all statutory requirements are met, staff have proposed terms of reference for the board. In addition to establishing the size and composition of the board, the proposed terms of reference introduce skills and experience requirements for board members and incorporate various statutory procedural requirements. Our next committee is the Committee of Management. So long-term care homes in Ontario are required to have a Committee of Management. County Council is responsible for appointing committee members from among the members of Council. All of County Council has been appointed to the Committee of Management through provisions in the county's procedure bylaw. Staff are recommending terms of reference for the Committee of Management in order to clarify the roles and responsibilities of the committee and to ensure all statutory requirements are met. So the recommended terms of reference will set out all the general and specific responsibilities of so the county also appoints members of council to various external committees and boards, including those set out on this slide. The authority for these appointments is detailed in the report, and staff are not recommending any changes to these appointments at this time. In terms of the committee appointment and recruitment process, staff are recommending the adoption of a general advisory committee and board policy to guide recruitment and selection of citizen appointees. Appointments will continue to be recommended by the warden and deputy warden as set out in the county's rules of procedure, but this policy will govern details like recruitment timelines, the application process, and committee and board orientation. And that final slide sets out the per diem and mileage rates for 2026. These have been indexed for inflation, and I will just note also that we have been directed to review council and committee compensation this year, so that will be forthcoming. That I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Marcy. Are there any questions from anyone? Councilor Burkhart-Jessen?
Thank you, and through the warden. Thanks, Marcy, for the report. Certainly, it is great to kind of have the background on where we are with our advisory committees. I'm just wondering, since we've gone to this effort, whether it's time to maybe review our membership with SWIFT. So I'm the member that sits on the SWIFT board. And anybody that was
on council prior to this term will know that Middlesex was the last county to kind of jump into the agreement with SWIFT. And I believe for all intents and purposes that SWIFT has completed the projects that needed to be completed in Middlesex. And there is another project that is led by the province that the province has been able to secure fiber to our residents. But I do think SWIFT, like the SWIFT executive director used to come to council on a regular basis and update county on the projects, where we were, our agreement. And that really hasn't happened since the pandemic. And I'm just wondering if maybe the starting conversation is to have him come to council. And if we could maybe do a deep dive into our agreement with SWIFT, I think the sooner we do this prior to a change of council would be best. So I don't know how that would be facilitated, but
Through you, Madam Warden. I think absolutely staff can commit to bringing back a comprehensive report on the history of SWIFT, how we got to it, and where we're at. I'd really like to have our director of ITS here for that, but I feel like that's something we can likely bring back to one of the meetings in March. So we can commit to that, and I'm sure Legislative Services could whip up a resolution that sort of touches on those agreement points, and also having the executive director from SWIFT come delegate before council. I think that'd be a great idea as well.
That's a great suggestion. Counselor Smyberg?
Just wanted to thank staff for the good work. I like the general policy that you have in addition to looking at the mandates for the different committees. And the transparency piece, I think, is really important as we take a look at making sure that we've got the right people on those committees. So a job well done. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? So, Councilor Burkhardt Jessen, would you be prepared to make your recommendation a motion?
yes, I would, very much so.
So has somebody been typing quickly? Oh. Yeah, and Councilor Mayhew, are you prepared to second that? Bring up before we take the
Right,
vote
yeah.
to make sure it's clear what we're asking for. Is there any further discussion before I call for the vote? Seeing none then, all in favor? Any opposed? So we also need a mover and a seconder. Will you bring the next motion up, please, regarding Marcy's report? So we have a motion in front of you regarding the other committees and legislative bodies. A mover and a seconder, moved by Councilors Grantham, seconded by Councilor DeVee. All in favor? And that's carried. Next on our agenda is 9C2, the Village of Newbury Hybrid Official Plan Procedures Update. And Dirk is not here. He's on holidays, so I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to Tim Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. This is a procedural amendment to the existing official plan procedures, essentially addressing a matter that was raised by Newbury Council, just given that they don't have the same representation at County Council. They're looking for a specific amendment that would address the fact that if there's a situation where planning staff are bringing forward an opinion that's different than theirs, that they would have an opportunity to speak to that at county council. It goes into greater detail in the report. Happy to speak to any questions that one might have. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Are there any questions regarding this? Seeing none then, can you bring the motion up on the screen, please? Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councilor McGuire, seconded by Councilor Rob. All in favor? And that's carried. Sorry, next up is the award for tender MC-2026 regarding the Bryanston Garage, and I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to Chris Tranny, our Deputy CAO / County Engineer.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Warden. And before I start, I'd just like to thank Josh White and the Procurement Services team for their help with the tendering of this project. This is the replacement of our Bryanston Garage in the northeast section of the County Middlesex, which was approved by County Council a number of years ago. And this, there's more of a transportation demand for us in the northeast part of the county. We've assumed a number of roads over the last 6 or 7 years, Wayland Line, Colville Hills Road, and a portion of Saintsbury Line. It's kind of taxing our ability to provide winter maintenance services in that corner of the county, as well as ground maintenance services. So the county put out for a tender the replacement, the demolition of the existing building and salt sand dome to be replaced with a new garage and salt sand storage facility. Very similar in style to the facility that we have at the corner of County Road, Center Road and Egremont Drive, just north of the town of Strathroy. And we're very pleased that we had good response to the tender. We had 8 submissions. All were below what we estimated for the cost of this project. So we're quite happy to see that the construction industry is bidding competitively for these types of projects. We are recommending that Elgin Contracting and Restoration Limited be awarded this project. They actually were the company that did the renovations and rebuilding of the primary operations center at our central garage a number of years ago. We were quite pleased with their performance in that project. So there's a number of recommendations there, but you can see with the budget of the project here is about $2.8 million. We have about $2.5 million remaining in that account, which we budgeted over a number of years. We anticipate that the contract itself is about $1.83 million plus about $100,000 in contingencies. We will have some additional costs on that. There's about $50,000 remaining in contract administration that we've already awarded to SPM Consulting, as well as some additional work that will have to be done relative to this, some work around the entrances and relocating some hydro services and other appurtenances that won't be directly attributable to this contract or to the consultants. So there'll be additional costs, but we still expect to be well under budget on this project, which is great news. So I'll leave it there and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions? Councilor Mayhew.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Chris, is any environmental assessment required in a project like that? Could you expand on that?
Yeah, thank you through the warden. No, this is a replacement of an existing facility, so we don't have a requirement to do additional environmental assessment here. We're replacing the same use. It's basically the same footprint for the building. More of an elevation. The old garages were constructed many, many years ago, so our trucks don't fit into the garage as it is today. So we had to replace the building, basically build a new building with a higher roof. But otherwise, the use is exactly the same as the existing building, so we didn't have to connect.
Great question. Any other? Councilor Rob.
Thank you. Through the warden, Chris. I missed it if it's on there. What is the completion date for this?
Great question, and thanks for that. Through the warden, we're going to be complete and operational for next winter.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Any other questions? It's probably appropriate to give a shout out to your roads crew after the last week or so. They've been getting hammered, and I'm sure this upgrade to the facility is a welcomed addition. Seeing no other comments or questions, We'll have the motion on the screen. I'll let you read that. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Counselor Roth, seconded by Counselor Grantham. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. The next item is our award for the RFP MC-2026 regarding consulting services for the Middlesex Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan update. I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to, who wants it, Paul? Do you want it, or Joe Windsor? Or Josh? Where's Josh? There you are, over there. You're hiding on me. I couldn't see it. Sorry about that. So Josh White, our Procurement Services Manager, will take it away from here. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you through the warden to council. Per council's direction at the December 9th, 2025 council meeting, a request for proposal process was completed for the procurement of a consultant to update the Middlesex Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. 8 submissions were received, which were evaluated by the county's chief administrative officer, the director of human services, and myself. At its conclusion, the submission from Sustainable Societies Consulting Group received the highest score due to a variety of factors, but mostly given their vast experience in completing similar projects. The recommended proposal came in at $32,500 plus tax, and the project will be completed in approximately 3 months.
Any questions for Josh? Counselor Smiber.
Sorry, this may not be a question for Josh. I support the recommendation. I think it's just the process moving forward in terms of, I know the county will be the lead on the project, but can you tell us how the individual municipalities will be included in this project and outside agencies like the Police Services Board?
Through you, Madam Warden, absolutely. This was kind of reignited at the November, December local CAOs meeting. So any local CAOs that want to sit on the steering committee will sit on it. There was mixed levels of participation there. So we'll work on that in collaboration, and Joe Windsor, our Director of Human Services, will take part. I know we'll do a bit of engagement and consulting with existing groups, but we want to be clear, we're really updating the existing policy and adding in those key metrics. It's not a reinvention of the entire wheel. It's more adding actual metrics and KPIs to the policy.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, then we'll bring the motion up. It's nice to see that you had, was there 6 or 8 respondents, so that was encouraging. Okay, you've got the, that's okay. Okay, the motion will be that the award of the RFP MC-2026-2 for consulting services for the Middlesex County Safety and Wellbeing Plan Update Report be received for information, and that council award the RFP MC 2026-02 to Sustainable Societies Consulting Group in the amount of $32,500 plus HST, and that the county chief administrative officer be authorized to execute the agreement with Sustainable Societies Consulting Group in a form satisfactory to the county solicitor. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor DeVete, seconded by Councillor Burkhart Jessen. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the next item up is 9C5, the award of proposal request MCQ 202601 regarding the investment management services. And I'll turn this over again to Josh White, our Procurement Services Manager.
Thanks again through the warden to council. Although not required from a bylaw compliance perspective, as part of an overall review of the county's administrative processes and considering these services have not been reviewed in well over a decade, staff sought proposals for investment management services. The county's current service provider, Van Simpson Portfolio Management, as well as 2 other firms selected based on their relatively recent success in other municipalities' procurement initiatives, were requested to participate. The proposals were then evaluated by the county chief administrative officer, director of financial services, and the county's finance manager, and were based on the firm's proposed leads municipal experience in providing investment management services, the suite of products available, and the applicable rates and fees. Following evaluation, the proposal from Hobson Chahal Advisory Group at CIBC Wood Gundy was the highest scoring proposal due to their vast municipal investment experience, products and services offered in both strong and extremely positive references.
Thank you, Josh. Are there any questions? Just on a side note, I did ask several questions on this one just because I wanted to make sure we were following the right procedures, and I was satisfied to that. And it's the group that was successful. They've got, I believe over 60 municipalities dealing with them, so they've got a strong record in that lane. I'm not sure. Yeah, we've got a motion coming up on the screen. And there is the motion in front of you. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Smyberg, seconded by Councillor Grantham. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next up is the correspondence information items. Are there any questions on the electronic payments for December? Councillor Grantham? Oh, sorry, okay. Strathmere Lodge monthly census reports. The final approval of Buchanan Crossings. The FCM partnerships. For municipal innovation. And just on a side note, we've got Councillor Burkhart Jessen and Rebecca Glavin, and I can't remember Amy's last name. You're going. Yeah, to that one. Thames Center Council resolution for proposed consolidation of conservation authorities. The Western Ontario Wardens Caucus motion to support Bill 21. The letter from the Village of Newbury. Joint letter to the Minister of Health. Councillor Grantham.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. If you had any more information on that, I think it's a necessary letter. When is the expected return from the province? You can expand more on that letter.
Well, I think it's prudent financial management that when they were doing their budgeting, it was in their cash flow, they were projecting that they would have to continue the carrying costs for that. Did you, Michelle Smyber, Councillor Smyber, would you like to speak to that at all from the health unit's perspective?
Yeah, so as you noticed in this year's budget, right, we set aside some funds to kind of, I guess, pay down that debt, and the city had provided some monies too. And I think from the city perspective, it was they feel that the money that goes into the health unit, part of that should be, if not all, addressed by the province as well in terms of the shortfall in funding that they're providing to Middlesex London Health Unit services. So we've been doing a lot of engagement with the province, trying to tell our story that not only does all of the health units need more funding to provide their programs, but specifically Middlesex London, because on a per capita basis, we're still quite low in terms of the funding levels that are received by the other health units in those regions. So it's just another advocacy tool to make them aware of that and see if they would provide us with additional funds.
But no response as of yet, correct?
No, no.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and just to add some additional information, Middlesex County receives a lot less than our neighboring counties, so that should be noted. A letter from the Ministry of Agriculture regarding 2026 Ag Impact Assessment. Middlesex County notice adoption of the official plan amendment number 4. The Board of Health update. Letter from Western Ontario Wardens Caucus to MPP Sylvia Galtieri regarding the WOC delegation on vulnerable sector checks. Letter from the municipality of Thames Center regarding local school advisory committee resolution, no excuses bus safety campaign. Minutes of the January 13th meeting of the Middlesex County Library Board. Councillor Burkhart Jessen, sorry, I missed you.
I just wanted to go back to the Thames Center one, but you can call on me after you finish. If somebody wanted to speak to the library board.
Anyone want to speak to the library board? If not, we'll back up to 9D13, the letter from Municipality of Thames Center.
Thank you, Warden. I mean, we've received similar motions regarding bus safety, but the bus safety campaign from a number of different municipalities over the last little while. I think, I know locally, we've received them. And I just wonder if we should consider endorsing this one or coming up with our own. We all have municipalities, we all represent municipalities where I think bus safety is a concern, and I would dare say we've all heard from residents that have had concern about safety. And I'm just wondering, even though at the county level, we wouldn't be responsible for bus safety, I wonder if it's something that we should be endorsing. As an aside, I've talked to Councillor Brennan in his capacity as chair of the OPP board, and wondering if that there'll be discussion at an upcoming board as to kind of what the OPP's advocacy might be. But
So at this time, would you like to make a motion to support that resolution?
I would. I think that's
Okay.
probably the easiest thing
Yep.
to do. But yeah, I
Okay,
would.
so that's moved by Councillor Burkhart Jessen, a seconder, Councillor Grantham, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, now could I have a motion to receive and file 9D1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 14. Moved by Councillor Mayhew, seconded by Councillor McMillan. All in favor? And that's carried. Could I have a motion to rise from the committee of a whole at 1:58 PM? Moved by Councillor David, seconded by Councillor Smybert. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we have no closed session items for this meeting. So we've got bylaws 7392, a bylaw to authorize the warden and county clerk to sign an agreement of purchase and sale for the disposal of the property described as part 1 on plan number 9L6432-Z. Bylaw 7393, a bylaw to adopt tax rates and the payment schedule of the 2026 county levy by the lower tier municipalities in the county of Middlesex. And bylaw 7394, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the February 10th, 2026 meeting of county council. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Smybert, seconded by Councillor Grantham. All in favor? And could I have a motion that these bylaws be given a third and final reading? Councillor Brennan and Councillor McMillan, sorry. Seconded. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, for announcements, our next meeting is Tuesday, March the 10th, followed by Tuesday, March 24th, followed by the Tuesday, April 14th. I noticed that OSUM, the Ontario Small Urban Municipalities, an email came out today for that registration. I believe it's the end of April that takes place. So I always find that that is a worthwhile one. And if there is nothing else, then could I have a motion to adjourn at exactly 2 o'clock? Moved by Councillor Smybert, seconded by Councillor McMillan. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.